Okay, so welcome to part 2 of this lesson. And this actually at the top part is referring to the problems that you just completed about typing and time. And it's called, it's a definition that you'll need to know called the constant of proportionality. And this is the formula for the constant of proportionality. Highlight it or star it or something. Um, you don't really need to know that these letters. You just need to know why this formula works. So um, x is always the number that you put in, and a is always your constant. So in that typing example, what did you end up getting as your constant? The number that was always the same no matter how many minutes he still typed the same amount. It was 45. So 45 is your A, and then so it would be y equals 45 times x. And x is the number of minutes that he typed. So whenever you're doing your table, your y or the output, the number of words that he typed, was directly related to how many minutes or how many words and how many minutes. So if he did 3 minutes, you did 45 times 3, and you got y equals 135. And so this is your constant of proportionality, and a is always going to be your constant. Okay, so you just need to know why this formula works and then be able to apply it in these upcoming problems. So writing an equation for a proportional relationship is our example for example 3. So it says 2 pounds of cashews cost $5, 3 pounds of cashews cost $7.50, and 8 pounds of cashews cost $20. Show, okay, so it's telling us, show that the relationship between the number of pounds of cashews and the cost is a proportional relationship, and then write an equation for the relationship. So the steps below are going to lead us through this prompt. So let's go ahead and get started. Okay, so the first thing you're going to do is look at the table that they've provided here. So the number of pounds is on the top and the cost is on the bottom, and we just need to fill it in. So it says that 2 pounds of cashews cost $5, and then look up here for 3 pounds of cashews, it was $7.50. 7.50. You don't have to put the zero on if you don't want to. And then 8 pounds of cashews cost $20. Okay. And then step B says to complete the ratios. So we're doing cost to pounds. So cost is on top, pounds is on bottom. So this first one they did for you, the number of pounds was 2 and the cost was 5. So the ratio is 5 to 2. This one is going to be 7.5 over 3. And this one's going to be 20 over 8. And then what you need to do is simplify these so you get one number for this box. So I would personally simplify this one, 5 divided by 2, but you can do any of them and it'll still get you the same answer. And this answer is going to be your common ratio right here. And I'm going to do 5 divided by 2 and I'm going to get 2.5. So 2.5 is 5 divided by 2, it's 7.5 divided by 3, and it's 20 divided by 8. So our common ratio is 2.5. And this represents the cost per 1 pound. So 2.5 over 1, this is our unit rate basically, is it's 2.50 for 1 pound of cashews. Okay? So then it's asking us to write an equation. First, tell what the variables represent. So let x represent the number of pounds of cashews. And when they're talking about the equation, they're talking about the y equals ax equation. So I'll write that down here again for you. Y equals ax. And then it says let x represent the number of pounds of cashews. So anytime we have a number of pounds or something going into our equation, it's going to be an x. And then y represents the cost. Y is the thing that's always going to be changing. And then the common ratio is the constant of proportionality. So the common ratio in this one is 2.5. So now we have all the things we need for our equation. So all it's asking you to do is write this equation. So it says, so the equation for the relationship is, and we know in the equation we're going to have a y equals, and then what was our constant proportionality? 2.5 x. Now, in this chart, it tells us what some of our x's are. It gives us a 2, a 3, and an 8. But what if we wanted to find out the number of pounds for 10, or the cost for 10 pounds? Or what if we wanted to find out the cost for 1,000 pounds? We could use any number for x and we can generate a cost for it. That's why when we have this equation, we don't put a number in for x. We just leave it as y equals 2.5x because we can use any number for x and get to find a cost. So we just leave it as this. We don't put any numbers in. So on your answers, when you're doing your practice, you must have an x and a y anytime it asks for an equation. Okay? Now, it says, how can you use substitution to check your equation? And substitution, well, I don't know if you've heard this before, but even if you haven't, it doesn't matter because we can figure out what a substitute does. I have a class job who is a substitute, and if I have a substitute, it's someone who's coming in to replace me. And that's what a sub is, or a substitute is. So what they're asking you to do is replace one of these numbers into this equation to see if it works. So let me show you what I mean. Remember in this chart, we decided that the number of pounds is our x and the cost is the y. So we need to choose one of these numbers, one of these sets of numbers, to plug into this equation to see if it works. And to keep it simple, I'm going to do this first little equation right here. And so which one is my x in this one? It's the 2. So I'm going to have y equals, ooh, that's an equal sign, 2.5 times 2. And I know that y from this one, because I said that my cost is represented by y, my y should be 5. It should be, but if I did something wrong, then it's not going to be 5. So this is how I check my work. So 2.5 times 2, this is 2.5 times 2, is 5. So y equals 5. Ooh, that's another weird equal sign. Sorry. Y equals 5. And y should have equaled 5. So this formula is correct. So it says, how can you use substitution to check your equation? It doesn't just say check it, it's asking how. So how can you do that? Write one sentence that tells me how you can do that. I'm not going to tell you how to write that sentence. I want you to start thinking about it. Just write one sentence. And then, oh, I already gave you this answer. It says, what is the unit cost for the cashews? This was from the lesson you learned on Monday, the unit rate, where you have a 1 in the denominator. And what it's asking, what is the unit rate for the cashews? And how does that unit rate appear in your equation? So because we already answered this question in the video, don't worry about that, because remember I told you it was this, 2.5 over 1. But how does the unit cost appear in your equation? That's what you need to tell me. So write one sentence that tells me how it appears. One sentence. Okay. And then on 3C, it says, how can you use your equation to find the cost of 6 pounds of cashews? So this is just going to be your practice problem for this lesson. And go ahead and do that now. And I will talk to you guys very soon.